Alright, so phase one, reconnaissance. That's just the preparation part. It's important for us to be able to evaluate all possible targets. When we get into the module 2 on the footprinting, we're going to see those things, and we're going to get that information that there are home users, that there are mail servers and web servers, and that there's all these potential targets. So we're going to go after those. We're going to talk about the business risk of what we have and what's important to us and what assets are we really after trying to protect. Then we get into the real reconnaissance part, where we passively monitor and listen to your network, maybe even do some active reconnaissance where I'm going to probe that network and find out what ports or hosts are out there. Look for routers that help give me an indication of the internal physical structure of your network. Try to get the details of operating systems, the fingerprinting, if you would, of finding out what platforms you're running. Then into phase 2, the scanning. That's still a pre-attack phase. I'm going to scan your network with everything I found in reconnaissance. I'm going to find what targets you have that might be weakest, or perhaps the best choice for me to make to get into your network. So scanners, of course, can be the old dial-ups, the old dialers. It can be port scanners. It can be doing network mapping, sweeping, vulnerability scanners, which are free to use on the market. You can download Nessus and just scan any server that's out there and find out if it's as up-to-date on its patches and security hotfixes as it needs to be. Then I'm going to try to gain access. In gaining access, that's the real attack phase. That's where I'm really starting to potentially break the law as a hacker. Now, as the ethical hacker, one thing that I need to say here is, if you're going to do a security analysis and you're going to try to gain access into some of your company's servers, please get permission. Get a piece of paper that says you have the right, that you have the permission to make that type of a security analysis. If you don't do that and you're caught inside that network, you could not only lose your job, but potentially face jail. You know, it's the worst thing in the world to get caught getting into a server and saying, oh, I was just testing it, because everybody looks at you, so maybe you really weren't there when you're supposed to be. Another great thing is, if you test security and you don't have permission, you could kill that server and stop production. And you certainly don't want to get what we might call in the business an RGE, a resume generating event. Anyway, we want to gain access in step 3. We want to look at the architecture. We want to see what it takes to get in. And this is one of the highest on a business side, or business risk analysis, one of the highest issues that we're worried about. Can they get into our systems? In phase 4, the hacker that made access into some system wants to maintain ownership. They want to be able to get back in, and easier next time. Maybe I'd like to have that server I infiltrated always contact me and say, anytime you want to come back in, I'm ready. It's at that point, though, that I can upload, download, manipulate your data, change your configuration files. So that's that maintaining access part. And then phase 5, covering my tracks. As I said before, I want to get rid of any evidence that I was there. I want to take those log files, those auditing files, information in your syslog server. I want to try to cover my tracks, erase those entries if I can. The very minimum is stop the logging, because honestly, most networks, when they have to look at their logs, it's usually post-mortem. So if I can keep them from having to investigate anything, I can get access in and hope that once I'm in, erase those logs, stop them from logging, and that you might not notice that time delay. So there are other things I can do too. I might find evidence and I might want to keep it there for later use. So besides just the logging, there are going to be ways in which I can hide information in plain sight on your systems. I can do that by a process of steganography. If you're using Windows network operating system, perhaps through the alternate data streams. And I can be there, perhaps even for a long period of time, and continue to use that platform to launch more attacks, because I said, once I get through this cycle, we should start it again.